the Buddha says, in the future. And second verse is, mind is the forerunner, mind is chief, everything proceeds from mind. If you speak or act from a pure mind, from a mind of loving kindness, of generosity, from a pure mind, then happiness, sukha, that follows like a shadow that never leaves. And if you were in super hot India at the time, you want that shadow and you never want it to leave. So that's great. If you're in Seattle and it rains all the time, you might want some sunshine, but yeah, you do good and then the good results will follow. So that's karma. But this work, so the whole reason I was thinking at all in this to talk about work was because Monday was, anybody, this past Monday? Labor Day. Yeah, I knew that too. But it took me to be sitting for meditation 10 hours a day on Labor Day to even ask the question, what is Labor Day? And why do we not work on the day that's supposed to celebrate work? And what am I doing? I'm like meditating for 10 hours with a bunch of other Zoom great people. What are we doing? Like, are we the ones who are working? Is there an equivalence by meditation is definitely work and, grilling and throwing hot dogs is not work? I mean, what is work? And this is more complicated because the English word is complicated. Work can mean just effort. So the factor of the Eightfold Path, which is right effort, sometimes work or labor just means effort. So that effort that we're doing, the work we're putting in, that is work. And we're doing that. We're exerting effort all the time as well, even if the effort is one of just getting better and better at letting things down. Until we reach Nibbana, Nibbana literally means cooling. It's a full putting down. Another synonym, another name for Nibbana is letting go, the full letting go, the full dropping. And what are you dropping? You're dropping this absolute compulsion, which all of us have to grind, the grind set, just constantly going. And we don't know how to stop it. And it just eats away at us and it churns away. And what we're doing in meditation is just slowing that grind down. If we can, to some extent, it's like neutral, shifting your car into neutral to some extent. Some forms of meditation is training your capacity to say, even if the mind is churning, the gears are moving, I'm experiencing greed and anger. You can train yourself. This is a meditative move. It's a specific kind of meditation. Not all meditation is doing this, but it is the metta awareness, which you can put yourself in neutral. Okay, there is greed, there is anger, but I'm actually untouched. I'm untouched by it. The gears are still moving. There's still action going on one level, but I'm less touched. On the level of jhana or samadhi meditation, you really are working with those gears to slow them down. You're working at lubricating the gears of the heart. You're working at really letting up all the causes, all of the thinking. What jhana is, what samadhi is firm foundation of mindfulness, which is not just constantly stirred up. We don't know how to not think. We're obsessed with that. And this other form of meditation, samadhi, is one of getting better and better at doing less and less. And nibbana is when we, fully disengaged, and not disengaged as in disassociated or depersonalized or derealized, but it's an absolutely fundamental, real experience of the liberation of the mind through non-clinging. It's another synonym for nibbana, the liberation of the mind through non-clinging, utter putting down. And before then, we're doing the karma, which leads to the end of karma. That's the Eightfold Path. So we have work as effort, and we have work as livelihood. Sometimes labor means livelihood. And it wasn't until 1938 when, Roosevelt actually made it by law that you've got this rough 40-hour work week. And basically you're working for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. That was roughly the norm from 1938 onwards. And that's oftentimes that's what your cousin is asking you. That's what your blunt coworker, well, I mean, your coworker knows what you do, but that's what people are asking you when they ask what you do, they're asking you what you work. What do you do from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday? And it's not really an interesting question. I mean, it tells somebody something, but what you do, i.e. what you do Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, is, it doesn't really have to reflect much of who you are at all. You're so much more than that. It doesn't have to reflect that deeply on you at all. So this fetishization of work during the workday is what the question is asking. And so in Buddhism, we've got this other path factor of right livelihood. And I won't go too deeply into that because basically I moved to a monastery at age 23, and I've been being a monk, which we do have livelihood. Livelihood is not just this modern idea of 9 to 5 workday. Monks do have livelihood. Literally, the Pali word is ajiva, which means living. How am I living? How am I spending my waking hours? It's not just what is, on paper for my occupation, but it's how am I living? Which is a more interesting question. It's how am I living? What is my livinghood? Which applies before I go to work. It applies after I come home for work. It applies to what I do on the weekends. It applies if I'm a monk, if I'm a layperson. It applies if I retire. It's all of this. And this doesn't have to be onerous. Again, Buddhism is all about putting down, learning how to put down skillfully, and learning how to not work in a healthy way. So many people, once, certainly workaholics, they've been doing this 9 to 5 job for 40, 50 years, and then they try to retire, and they just don't know how to stop, and they don't know what to do with their time. They don't know how to spend their hours. And so what we're doing on these weekends, what we're doing when we come together for Zoom meditation or your own meditations, wherever they are, however long they are, these are pre-retirements. You are training so that when you actually do retire, you're not just going to be totally floundering and playing Angry Birds all the time. Yeah, that was another shout out to Dad. You know. So how are we spending our time? What is our livelihood? And another fascinating sutta is the Buddha shifts it to worldview. We've got this modern worldview which does prioritize this workaday Western, this weird Western educated, industrial, rich, democratic way of looking at work. I may have spelled weird wrong. I get I's and E's mixed up all the time, but it's weird, historically speaking. So the Buddha looked at the worldview and he said, in a well-taught Dhamma and discipline, or you can think about it in a healthy worldview, those who are energetic live in happiness, and those who are lazy live in suffering. But in a unhelpful, unintelligent, non-smart worldview, those who are energetic dwell in suffering, and those who are lazy dwell in happiness. Did you all hear that? That is profound. That is profound. In a unintelligent worldview, those who are energetic suffer, and those who are lazy live in happiness. Think of a worldview, think of a hypothetical world where everyone was a slaughterer, worked in a slaughterhouse, butchering everybody, your boss, all the society says that killing animals all day long, that's the height of humanity. Anybody who doesn't do that is lazy. In that world, which is, our society doesn't exactly say that all the time, but what is our society telling us about what is meaningful work? What is our society? Is it an intelligent worldview, or is it this unintelligent worldview, this unthought of, what, when we do it, is going to lead to our own happiness? In the Buddha's teaching, you've got this sutta called striving according to Dhamma, which is at the end of the chanting book, because we rarely chant it because it's so hardcore. It's on page 115. If you ever want to look at it, I won't necessitate that you read it because it's so heavy, everybody. It's so heavy. And basically, it's just putting the value. I'll just read parts of it. So, this is enough for a practitioner who has gone forth out of faith to arouse their energy thus. Willingly, let only my skin, sinews, and bones remain, and let the flesh and blood in this body wither away, as long as whatever is to be attained by human strength, human energy, by human effort, has not been attained. Let not my efforts stand still. Bhikkhus, that is practitioners, the lazy person dwells in suffering. And here he's talking about lazy in the context of Dhamma. Those people who are lazy with regards to wholesome mental states. Those who are lazy about not curbing their anger and their greed. Those who are lazy dwell in suffering. If you just follow your greed, anger, and delusion, because that's what you're doing, and the society says, that's totally cool. That's cool. Yeah, greed. Yeah, Amazon, great. You'll buy more stuff. Thumbs up. But in the Dhamma and discipline of the worldview of the Buddha, the lazy person dwells in suffering. And next line, soiled by their evil, unwholesome states, and great is the personal good that they neglect. The energetic person, though, dwells happily. And here we're not saying, we don't want you to feel like you have to be grinding away after you get home from work. Really, hopefully, meditation will be a very calming and peaceful experience. Hopefully, it will be something that you can look forward to as you get better and better at it. It can be a training at better and better happiness, less and less harmful happiness. And this is the type of energy, this is the type of virya. The word literally means, it's based on the word for hero. This is the heroicism of Buddhism, is to practice the path and really look at what you're doing with your mind. And if you're lazy with that, the Buddha says, then you'll dwell in suffering. If you're just sloppy with what you're doing with your mind, then you might suffer because of that. Whereas if I'm going to pay a bit more attention to how I speak and how I act and how I look and what I'm going to say and what I'm thinking even. The people who pay attention to that, you can see it in your relationships. The more cognizant you come of this, of the dangers and the liabilities of speaking from a harsh and angry mind. You've seen it in your relationships. They get better. Why is that? Because you're less of a jerk. You're less greedy. So this is the type of happiness and the type of peace that we can practice on this path. It is one of cool and getting cooler, of letting down. And if you do like this, you won't, if this is the type of work you do, like for monks, there is no retirement. Because on one level, we're already retired, and on another level, there's no retirement because our work is intentions, body, speech, and mind all the time. There's no days off, which is totally cool. You'll never find me or Ajahn Nisabo at the bar. We don't own pants. We don't own any money. If you think you see us, take a photo. It's not us. You can share it on the internet because it's definitely not us. We don't eat cheeseburgers afternoon. So, how well are we spending our time? What is a Buddhist Labor Day? What do Buddhists even do? The days and nights are relentlessly passing. How well are we spending our time? What are you doing right now? Because we want happiness. Okay, in the talk there.
หันธรรมยังธรรมคถาสาธุการังทดามาเสสาธุสาธุสาธุอนุโมทามิ
Thank you. And just to say, it really isn't about the externals that you're doing. Like, it's not necessarily the case that just someone sitting with their eyes closed is better than someone at their 9-to-5 job. working at whatever they're doing, if programmer or manual labor, it's not necessarily the case that the exterior forms are better one or the other. Some can be meditating with a mind totally full of their next Amazon order or their next whatever, the next mean thing they're going to say to their spouse. And the person working at a 9-to-5 job really can be doing a lot of good. They're doing it because they love what they're doing. It's a skill, and they're doing it for their families. They're doing it for themselves, or they're just doing it for an ends to be able to do other good things with that money. And it's not necessarily the case that even all monks are meditating all the time. Kind of the grandfather of our lineage right now, Lumpur Liam, is a worker monk. He definitely meditates very deeply, but also he's in his late 80s, and he's still on the construction site like every day. It's amazing to see him work. It's amazing to see him work because he is really working from this kind of Tolstoyan position of stop for a moment and cease what you're doing and just looking around. He's not at all working from a place of compulsion. He can stop, and he is stopped anytime, all the time. So just wanted to say that, not to fetishize either the work side of things, the workaday thing, or the form of eyes closed meditation. And with that, open things up for questions. If anybody in person had any questions or thoughts, and also on Zoom, if you've got questions, you can raise your hand. Yep, please. Oh.
Thanks, Greg. Bravo. I just wanted to offer a thought. I've always found the notion of retirement to simply be retiring. Just pondering the concept is exhausting. The other thing that came to mind is that perverse notion of work-life balance that I used to hear at work. And I used to enjoy telling my teams that was ridiculous to carry in one's mind. It's life. And I really do find there's so much to think about in our present condition. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. That's great. Yeah, retirement is retiring. That's awesome. And also would just encourage everybody, we do have potluck every Saturday. We'll have it today. And it is a time to just talk to one another. I'm a monk. I can only say so much about livelihood. Talk to one another. We've got people who have been here practicing in the Dhamma for decades and decades. Steve, just to give a shout out, gave a talk on right livelihood specifically just a couple weeks ago. So you can talk with him. He's the guy sitting over there on the stage. Yep. But the other one as well, that's Doug. He can talk about livelihood as well. So, no? Okay. All right. Yep, please.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that talk. So what I'm wondering about is we all have these defilements arising all the time, but they turn into karma through action and intentionality. So where are we kind of working with this, and where can it be most effectively altered?
Yeah, extremely good point. Extremely good point. We all do have, if we're not yet enlightened, we still do have mind states, thoughts of greed and anger that come up. And that is not present moment karma. That's what's called vipaka karma, or results from the past. So every moment, we've got a couple things going on. We've got the results from the past. Like this body is past karma, resultant karma. And those thoughts, the first thought of, I don't like that guy's hair, or I love that guy's hair, or whatever it is, that thought from the past is just past karma. And what the present moment karma is, which is the karmically significant part that we need to watch out, is the next thought, what we do. So one thought comes up of maybe greed or anger, or just a nice thought. And if it's just a nice thought, a pleasant thought, a skillful thought, then you could just let that go. The Buddha gives a simile. It's like if you've got wholesome, beautiful, friendly thoughts coming up, it's like a cow herder whose cows are behaving well, and they can just chill out by the tree and just watch. Okay, there's my cows. And they're all there, no worries. Whereas if you've got thoughts of greed and anger coming up, it's like the cowherd who has to really, take out their, very gentle stick and, tap them this way, and that you got to take care of what the cows are doing. So that's the next thought. That's what's karmically potent. So definitely don't beat yourself up for the thoughts that arise in the mind, but do take care about that second thought, because that's our feeding. That's the fuel that we're adding to the whole situation. So that's the line. Definitely why we have these precepts, the precept of not killing, not stealing. So I had a Zen friend, actually, Zen priest friend, tell me, I don't know what you're talking about with precepts. We just have one precept, which is be empty. Just come from a pure mind, be empty. And I said, that's very interesting, because all of the precepts, the ones people recited them, if you recited them, 5 precepts are all about physical actions with the body or with the mouth. Killing or stealing or sexual misconduct or lying, words, you've opened your mouth, let it out, taking intoxicants. These are all physical actions. And that is easier to get our mind around. That's a pin around which we can keep all these cows safe from us, and it's not bothering anybody else either. Even if there is a thought of anger, I'm not going to speak from that. I'm going to watch. If it's an intelligent discernment of something that somebody did which needs to be corrected, I can watch that and speak skillfully, not from the mind that's on fire. So I'm not going to speak. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to speak harshly. That's a refinement on that 4th precept. And certainly I'm not going to do physical violence. So we're cutting those off and getting better and better at that. But we need to get faster and faster at even that second thought, because we've just been careless and haven't had good moral or mental hygiene, and just, one thought comes up and society doesn't say there's any detriment in thinking angry thoughts, or we might even get well paid for it. So, but here, seeing the liability of these things, next thought, second thought. Yeah, good question. And maybe just one more small question, and then we got a special surprise.
I actually don't have a question. This is your dad and grandma's first time to can I, on behalf of the community, say a big thank you? Is that all right with y'all?
You want to say it all at the same time? No, never mind. That would be weird.
I'm a grandma from the South, and when I think about the impact, do you know that song, This Little Light of Mine? I think about the ripple effect of having a little grandson and raising him in that bright light, and the way I can't imagine what you were like, but I can actually, as a little boy, a son and a grandson. And I just want to thank your grandma and thank your mama and your daddy, and the generosity and bright light that you bring to our lives, and the ripple effect of that, to thank your family and everybody and all your teachers, and the love and kindness and compassion you show to all of us. That came from somewhere. That's deeply rooted in love and kindness, and we are so very grateful to your family.
Nice. Sue, that was so kind, and thank you, everybody. Do you hear that, Grandma? Hear that? Your little hellion made something of himself. Yeah, and pretty much I was just like I was then, except I had hair parted in the middle. Yeah, it wasn't that cute. It wasn't. But thank you. That's so sweet, and we really are like the karma that all of us are planting. We really are. We're all ripples, and that's the importance of like every single karmic act that we're doing. They are ripples, and they do have effects, and I'm really grateful to be part of a community like this, because the ripples do definitely go both ways, and Ajahn Nisabo and I are definitely very gratitude to be looked after so well, both physically. You're all providing every single calorie, every single morsel that we've eaten for the last 20 years has been a gift, and all of your kindness is really extremely heartwarming and makes us want to keep being monks. So